Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back. Our guest today is a very good friend, Jeffrey Tucker, the founder and president of the Brownstone Institute and the author of The Market Loves You, Why You Should Love It Back. Welcome back, Jeffrey.
It's good to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on, speaking to the whole silver, gold, and the investment community. I wanted to, get you down and talk. Like last time we spoke, silver wasn't as high of a prices as they are right now. We've seen like a big jump up around that $38 mark. Gold's still around the same level since the last time we spoke. But I wanted to, talk to you about what do you think is happening in the silver market?
Well,
Why?
I'll tell you this, and I wrote this. There's a reason why I wanted to hook up with you last time on this podcast, and we didn't make it work for various reasons. But I wrote a big article about this. The Now is the time to buy your silver, is all I'm saying, because it's actually approaching $40 today. And what this means in effect, is that the melt value of many things that are silver online right now is going to exceed the silver price. So what it means is that we're going to see another round of sterling being melted down, which is just horrible. This happened about 15 years ago, last time we saw the market peaks, and all the sterling was bought from eBay and every corner of the internet, and was dragged over to the silver dealers and melted. And we went a whole 15 years without being able to buy sterling silver at reasonable prices. So now's your last chance to do it. If you like having sterling around your house, and you should, because it's the greatest thing ever. You better grab it now, because I can see what's about to happen. It's all going to disappear. I mean, we are getting very, very close to that turning point in terms of prices, where the vultures are going to seize in and buy it all up, and the legacy markets and antique markets are just going to be pillaged. And it's a tragedy when it happens, and we'll have to wait another 15 years before it all comes back online again. So now's the time to move on it. But I don't know. I think the question about why is interesting. I don't really have a final answer to that, but I will say this, that I'm not entirely satisfied with where we are in terms of inflation right now, because uh, it's true on one hand that there's a big low bow in M2 after this skyrocketing of M2 during the COVID years. We saw some efforts on the part of the Federal Reserve to suck out the excess, but Powell's being hammered right now for keeping interest rates high. They're not that high in real terms, but you know how it is. Politics always wants low interest rates, and now there's a possibility he'll just be fired, and the Fed will be politicized, and that goes only one direction, as far as I can tell,
Right.
which is lower and lower interest rates, which is going to risk what I feared the most, which is a big second wave. And I see that the latest CPI report was not good. I think it was bumping up against 2.5, something like that, which is not good. But also, if you look at real-time inflation as measured by Trueflation, which is our sort of real-time price reporter, it's been systematically up now for 2 months, and it's really worrisome, because we're still suffering from the wild inflations of 2020 to 2023, and Powell's under pressure, and he's shown that he's willing to bend Fed policy to what politics demands of him, and he'll do that before he'll risk his job. So this is a very dangerous situation we're in, and that may be ultimately why we're seeing some response within crypto world and within precious metals. Now, the inevitable question here is, how is this being affected by the tariff policies?
Right.
Um, and as far as I can tell, the data does not bear out that this is being driven by the increased tariffs. I think those are mostly being eaten by foreign suppliers and foreign importers. And why would that be true? And the reason is that the margins are so much higher on for these outsourced goods that we've been doing for the last 40 years, that there is room in there for these tariffs to be paid without driving up prices. So I don't see that, at least not yet. The tariffs don't seem to be contributing to it. I think this is just still leftover hangover from the COVID years is what we're seeing here. But it's on a hair trigger. This is what concerns me
Yeah.
the most, and it's a problem if Trump really does get his way vis-a-vis monetary policy. And look what he's asking. He's asking for like 300 basis points reduction, which is just crazy. But if anything remotely like that happens, or even if only a fraction of that happens, it could kick inflation into high gear again. And this is my number one concern right now.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. And I don't know if you've seen the news recently, but I wanted to bring this up to you as well. With public schools in Chicago went bankrupt, where they owe, I think, like 600 or 700 million dollars. They have to lay off like over 18 to 2,000 teachers and people in the pu public school sector. What do you make of this? Is this just like, is this has to do with the, like, yeah, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, what I say, the entire public school system in the United States is going down in flames, especially in lower income areas. I mean, there's no hope for these systems. I mean, the lockdowns kind of ruined their reputations. They're no longer trustworthy. You still had to pay taxes. You couldn't use them. They can't attract talent anymore. They're just shoveling the kids in there and trying to get them out there, glorified babysitting services. Meanwhile, the elites are either homeschooling or using fancy private schools, and they popped up all over the country. So it's just a revelation of what's happening in the US. I mean, we have become, I mean, it sounds like an old left-wing cliche that we used to debunk, but it really is haves and have-nots in this country.
Yeah.
And the middle class is just completely evaporating. And when you see the way the rich live, it is so shocking. They're completely insulated from all normal streams of main life. They all escaped to their little secret hovels during the COVID years and just stayed there.
Yeah.
They're abandoning the cities and inhabiting all their little coastal elite towns where everything is unaffordable. You can't get a sandwich for less than $40 or whatever it is, and but they're happy as the clams that they gather on weekends in their harbors with sailboats floating around. So I mean, it's a serious problem. Young people can't buy houses. Their job prospects are very low in the professional sector, and their work ethics are not drawing them towards any kind of serious employment in hands-on kind of jobs. So, and this is going to persist for another generation. It's so bad right now. I mean, the U.S. has just lived so long on cheap credit and budget deficits and gorging itself on spending and living off the dollar as the world reserve currency. We've gotten away with it, but not for very much longer. I'm super happy about a lot of Trump's policies, especially with regard to the administrative state. I mean, the Supreme Court has made some amazing decisions that have fundamentally changed the regime in the U.S. People do not understand this, but we now have clarity for the first time in 100 years on exactly what the relationship is between the president and the deep state.
Yeah.
And that changes essentially everything for the way the functioning of the U.S. system. We're not going to feel it for a while, but every future president is going to have now powers that no president in our lifetimes has ever had. And it sounds funny to say from a libertarian point of view, but I think that's a good thing, because the last thing you want is a fourth branch of government that's this permanent state out there mucking around in our lives the way they did for so long. So that seems to be coming to an end, and that's glorious. And Trump deserves every bit of credit for that. But on economic policy, I have plenty of problems with his protectionism. I'm surprised that he's gotten away with as much as he has, really. But that's the least of it. I mean, the big problem is his complete lack of concern for budget deficits, debts, and jawboning the Fed the way he is. I mean, it's actually exceedingly dangerous. He's not going to solve the problems. He's doing a lot of good things, and probably better than any alternative. But there's no solution that's going to come through politics, unfortunately.
Welcome to the Cayman Islands, a premier offshore jurisdiction where natural beauty meets financial stability. Here, your wealth is more than secure. It thrives in one of the most trusted and respected financial centers in the world. For over a decade, SWP has been the trusted choice for precious metal investors worldwide. Our purpose built 6,000 square foot facility sets a new standard in precious metals storage. We are proud to be one of the only vault operators approved by the London Bullion Market Association. Beyond safeguarding your assets, we're committed to making a difference in our community by supporting local causes and events that reflect our values. As we continue to expand and innovate our services, we ensure that your wealth is safe and strategically positioned to shield you from the uncertainties that lie ahead. Strategic wealth preservation, trusted today and ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people have been talking about, how these tariffs can backfire. Like I'm here in Canada, they put a 35% tariff on some Canadian goods coming into the US. Do you ever see a scenario where it backfires on Trump where it really hurts the US economy or just the global economy in general?
Well, a lot of supporters of Trump are very unhappy about this, especially small and medium-sized businesses. I mean, large
Right.
businesses can afford these tariffs. And here's the dark truth about it. You know, uh, don't think I've ever put it this way before, but if you think about all the multiple layers of taxes that Americans already pay, well, Trump came along and gave us yet another layer that we haven't had to worry about, since basically the end of World War II. Now suddenly, all importers are paying, gigantic taxes, and we're hoping that the exporting nations are going to respond in kind and accommodate, and maybe they will to some extent. But it's been, I know personally, many American business consumers don't notice this stuff or care as much, but the importing businesses, you're running um, a supplier company that relies on one single motor that you can only source from China, and it's now subject to outrageous levels of taxation, which is what tariffs are.
Yeah.
It hurts. And I cannot imagine a situation in which tariffs actually make any real contribution to economic growth. There certainly are helping them on the revenue side, and that's what government wants. I get it. It's another kind of taxation,
Yeah.
but it's not going to, as they say, bring back American manufacturing. The only way you're going to bring back American manufacturing is to deprecate the dollar as the international reserve currency and reprice goods internationally. See prices go up internationally and down, and costs of production and barriers to entry into new enterprises at home go down. And we're
Right.
we're making some progress in that, but not nearly enough to make up the difference for what's happened over 40 years.
Yeah, and I've been talking to a lot of people online recently, and I wanted to get your take on this with how fast can people lose trust in their currency, and how fast can it turn into a bank run where, people start doing a run on the banks? How fast can that scenario play out, Jeffrey?
The question is an insightful one, because if you think about this whole question of the loss of trust in general, I mean, it is gone. It's gone from medicine, it's gone from media, it's gone from government, it's gone from the academy. Everything we used to trust, like people just don't trust anymore. People don't
Yeah.
trust doctors, and every survey shows this. And I assume that all the surveys are underestimated. I mean, there was a medical journal, American Medical Association article from a survey that was run in April of 2024 that said like 40% of women who are expecting children were unwilling to commit to giving their children any vaccines. I mean,
Wow.
that's where we are. And I assume if the American Medical Association is admitting this, that the reality on the ground is
Far much
is
worse.
is far much worse. I mean, COVID just wrecked trust and everything. The one thing that people still trust more or less is the dollar and their currency. And you see Trump making these big efforts mostly false advertising concerning what he's doing on crypto. But you know, I mean, crypto is fun. You know, it's a great secure, another financial. You know, it's a means of making money. And that's great. But I don't have that has absolutely zero uh, confidence that it can somehow replace national currencies, you know,
Right.
because it's just not set up that way, really. And all the laws more or less forbid it. So we're stuck with the dollar, just as it is. And yeah, it could get out of hand really quickly. I mean, there are nightmare scenarios. We face the second wave and the third wave of inflation. And combined with debts and the impossible government levels of government spending that nobody seems to know what to do about right now. And we could be facing a severe economic crisis. Um, my own personal belief is that all the dating of the recessions and recoveries are completely off, even upside down.
Yeah.
Brownstone published a study about this time last year that tracked a deep recession that lasted 2020 through 2021 and 2022, brief recovery 2023, but basically, and then dipped back down again. And by the time Trump won, uh, we had already hit, the depths. So we're coming. So if you see signs of recovery, and are some, although they're tiny, it's probably just a bounce back from the horrors of the last 4 or 5 years, really. But and that could last for a while, but it may not last much longer than another year or two. And
Yeah.
and then we're gonna have to deal with this continuing debt overhang, unpaid bills, boggled up enterprise, and now screwed up international trade relations. So that's, that's not a good that's not a good
Not a good mix.
yeah, it's not a good mix. Like I said,
Well,
there is some weirdly good news. That most of the good news that I'm seeing comes from sort of this inner desire for revenge. I'm feeling, I think I'm being fed that daily. We're getting
yeah.
national intelligence reports about how, Clinton's a bad guy and Obama's a bad guy, and how they're working with intelligence to overthrow the duly elected
Yeah, yeah, I
president.
see that.
And it's all fun. And everybody's looking for perp walks, and we may yet see those, but and so that's all just kind of satisfying from the point of view of vengeance, but that's not the same thing as fixing these core economic problems that are so systemic and so catastrophic.
Yeah.
And we saw this crazy socialist guy win the mayoral election in New York, running on bread and butter issues. I want to make New York affordable again, and people just mindlessly pull the button for him.
Yeah.
And this is a problem. I mean, I see the left as going further and further left. I mean, to go straight to this kind of state grocery stores, free homes for everybody, public housing
Crazy.
kind of solutions, and that's where things are headed. I mean, so the Trump administration needs to get its act together and fast, or else the crazies are going to take over.
Yeah, no, you absolutely nailed it, Jeffrey. Now, Jeffrey, before you go, as always, such a huge pleasure, but I want people to connect with you. I want people to connect with Brownstone Institute. I'm going to put the links in the description below, but where can they connect with you? Is it just
Yeah,
Brownstone?
yeah, Brownstone Institute, brownstone.org. Get on our email list. It's the best way I can contact you. We're running weekly supper clubs around the country, publishing wild numbers of books and holding annual conferences. We got our kind of conference in Salt Lake in November. We're really looking forward to that. We got another one in September at a farm in Virginia. So anyway, get on our email list. And I'm oftentimes posting at X at Jeffrey A. Tucker.
Yeah, thank you so much. Everyone watching this, highly recommend. Please go follow Brownstone Institute and follow Jeffrey on his X account. Links will be in the description below. And Jeffrey, as always, such a huge pleasure to talk about all the crazies in the world, and love to have you back on in the future.
Thanks so much. Good to be here. Take
Take
care.
care.